Hello there, and it's nice to see you today. Today, we are here to talk about freedom. And freedom is not what you think it is. And that's what we're going to get into today. In fact, when we talk about freedom as a business owner, most people picture time off, fewer fires, more space to think. And we talk about that a lot too. But freedom isn't about the beach. It's about the infrastructure that we build that allows you to step away without things slipping. And that kind of freedom doesn't happen by accident. It's not a fantasy, it's a system. And today we're breaking down what that system really looks like and how to start building it before you burn out. Hi, I'm Jen. This is a Founders Table. I created this space because most owners don't have a place to talk honestly about what it means to build something great and still feel like the business leans too much, too hard, too often on you. This group is where we explore what comes next, whether it's succession, whether it's scale, or simply a better way to lead. If you're tired of being the one everything runs through, you're not alone and you're in the right room. So let's get into it. Freedom isn't a reward that you unlock at the end. It's a discipline that you design into the business. The founders who find real breathing room aren't lucky. They're intentional. And today we'll unpack the same systems that we use with our clients that will help you quietly buy back your time and protect your peace. So we're going to talk about 4 systems in particular that we use with our clients. We're going to go through them quickly. And as always, with these freedom briefings, they're really meant to stimulate your thinking as much as anything, get you thinking about what you can do and how you might be able to solve this on your own. The first system that I'd like you to consider is a decision-making framework. Without one, everything flows back to you. With our clients, this looks like being really clear about vision, about purpose, about core values, and having those things built so that we can make decisions according to and in alignment with those purpose-driven things. That takes care of a lot of the decision-making things that flow back to you. And then there's steps we take to codify from there. Role canvases or job descriptions, put another way. Those are another way to codify this decision-making framework. So if people have a rubric, if this, then that, they can generally figure things out, and we help you build that within your business. I want you to ask yourself, do my people know how to think or just when to ask me? And it's important. We've talked about it on other videos because a lot of times you and I just default to answering the question as a manager instead of mentoring them to find the solutions themselves. And that's where we want to move you from manager to mentor. Okay, so let's talk about the second one. And I hinted at this in the last one. Clear roles plus real accountability. And this really matters. The clarity, I don't know any employees or workers that go to work every day and think I'm going to do the least amount expected of me, or I'm going to miss the mark and have to do it over again. Nobody does that intentionally. So what I find is that 99% of the people that work for us can absolutely hit the target as long as we give them a clear target to shoot at. They have to know what the target is and where it's at. So if our instructions or their ownership, more importantly, what their role is and what success looks like, which is what leads to real accountability, if that's vague, follow through disappears. So when we define what success looks like, the other side of that same coin is articulating how we're going to measure success. So specifically saying you own LinkedIn marketing and we're going to measure success very clearly by not just the number of impressions, but the number of engagements and the number of members that we reach. Those are the 3 metrics that we're going to look at when we measure your success in your role. So that's just an example. I want you to ask yourself now, does every priority have a name and a deadline that doesn't involve me? That last part's really important, right? So does every priority have a name and a deadline that doesn't involve me? And to my point, you also have to define that target. And on one side of the target is what success looks like, and the other side is how we're going to measure it, right? The third one, consistent communication rhythms. I'm always surprised that we have to talk about this each time I go into a new client business, because just having this consistent rhythm clears up a lot of confusion and extra communication. And let me give you an example. If you're my supervisor and I don't know when we're going to meet the next time, I'm very likely to be reaching out to you when I hit obstacles or when I have problems or when I have things to report. Conversely, if I know that we're meeting once a week to talk about what's going on and for me to share those things in that container, then I'm not going to pepper you all day, every day with updates or questions. I know that time is the time for us to share that news. So just having that rhythm and making it really clear, again, this is what the meeting is for, this is what we cover in this meeting, tells the entire team what the expectations are. So without that consistent communication rhythm, you get noise. Or worse, you might get silence. So I want you to ask yourself, does the business move forward without me asking for updates? So to me, this goes back to the clear roles and real accountability too, because if we go back to our LinkedIn example, it's up to me to be watching. If I own the metrics of impressions and engagement and members reached, it's also up to me to be reporting on those in a consistent rhythm. So communication rhythms isn't always a meeting. We don't always need a meeting. Sometimes we just need a report on the things that we agreed to, on the success metrics, giving you the opportunity as the owner to ask deeper questions if the data warrants it. So you're focused on outcomes. You don't care about how. You as the owner are focused on outcomes and whether or not we're reaching the outcomes. And if we're not, then you can dive into why that's happening with the person that has taken responsibility for that. Let's go to the fourth one. Capacity building, not just hiring. So one of the things that I measure when I go into a new company and do the diagnostic work that we do at the beginning of our work is I take the amount of revenue that you have and I divide that by the number of employees you have. Sometimes it's a combination of employees and contractors to get revenue per employee. Because to me, that's an indicator of how healthy your business is. Freedom isn't just about hiring more people. That erodes your profit, and more people means more to manage. What you're looking for are the people that I call them entrepreneurs, the people that can step up when you step out. Who's going to step up and take ownership, take control of their little fiefdoms so that you know everything's under control when you're not in the room? So you have to ask yourself here, am I developing leaders or am I just plugging gaps? And that's super important because we talk a lot about leadership at all levels and how it benefits the business. But I have a past client who actually sold his business to the receptionist and the salesperson. They were ready to step up and take it on. And it's because he had cultivated that leadership across every level of his business. And they're doing a fantastic job. Are you developing leaders or just plugging gaps? And we've all done it. We've all hired just to fill a seat, but we're not doing that anymore. What I hope you've gathered through these 4 systems that I think create true owner freedom is that Freedom doesn't just show up one day with a bow on it. There's nothing magical about it. It's built in the background, and it's built by founders who are willing to let go of control in favor of clarity. This is not about exiting. You don't have to wait for an exit to feel the difference. You just need to start designing a business that doesn't need you every minute to function well. And that's what we're here to help you do. So here's your challenge for the week, because I always have a challenge for you. Pick one place where your business still relies on you to function. And then I want you to ask yourself, what system, what rhythm, what decision rule could we create that would reduce that dependency, even if it's just a little bit? So we're talking about tiny actions here. You have the insight, and then you decide, what tiny action could I take that will move me towards this goal? And multiple tiny actions create momentum that get you there. But if you don't take any action, the knowledge without action is useless. So if you're watching these videos but not taking action, I'm sorry to say it's not going to make a difference for you. Knowledge doesn't do the trick. Freedom starts with actions, even if it's tiny actions, not in big leaps, but in small systems. That's it. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. And I can't wait to hear how your field work for this week goes. Let me know.